All right. It's telling me we are live streaming on YouTube, and we'll have somebody check that out. But hello, everybody. It's good to see you tonight. Good to be here tonight. We were talking before the meeting started here. We're having kind of some internet issues, but we're going to flip it over to him right now and make him host just in case anything happens tonight. Did I do it? I think I did it. I think I hit the right button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we
And
still running, Ronald?
Yes, we're streaming.
great deal. Great. All right. It's good to have everybody with us tonight. Now, we are not streaming live on Power Faith Radio tonight because our power has been going off and on because of the high winds and trees down. So it's easier just to let it run in the cloud. I've got some pre built things that it runs on until we stopped that because the computer takes so long to reboot. But those of you watching us tonight, maybe on the YouTube, it's good to have you with us tonight, or maybe you're watching the recording. Come on over to YouTube and subscribe to that channel and hit that notification bell that you'll be notified every time we do a live stream or a new video goes up. And you can come on over and join us. You can find the links for all of what we do in a Simple Walk Facebook page. Also, you'll find the link to the Zoom room. You can go on over there and hit that link and come on in to be with us in the Zoom room. Terry, how you doing?
I'm pretty good.
I can tell you the wind's been pretty high here, Terry, because all that hair that I sprayed on my head yesterday is gone.
We had some high winds here. I mean, well, first time I've seen this morning, one of our rocking chairs has blown across the porch. And had never done that before, so we must have had some straight line winds here. But I've heard they were pretty high last night, but I slept. I think I slept through it all. didn't hear anything. But yeah, would you say you had some 60 and 70 mile an hour winds?
60 to 80.
My daughter and son-in-law lives up on the plateau up in Cookville. Messaged today and said they had some 70 mile an hour winds. They had one of their trees uprooted in their yard there in Cookville. They're right off downtown, and so they're even expecting snow tonight.
Yeah, that's the beauty of living around here, isn't it? One of the apartment complexes that I take care of. We got a call earlier this morning that trash cans were gone, and we got 9 apartments in this one little complex, and all of the totes. Now these are pretty good sized totes. You know, they back up and pick them up with a machine. They were gone, and I found some of them a half a mile away. I had to go get them and pick up all the garbage and yeah, that was fun. So that's why I make the big bucks there.
You know, you can't get bored with your job because it's always something.
It's always. So Thomas went down. I'm going to tell this story because it happened to me today, Thomas. Thomas went down and you know, he helps Danielle a couple times and he went down and stayed with her and was taking her garbage out, and it was dark. Was it dark when you took that garbage out? And was it a cat? There's a cat down it. Now it's dark where these cans are.
Yeah, it was a cat.
And Thomas raises the lid to put the garbage in there, and out comes this cat. Now, when it's dark, it can be anything. It can be a wild cat, a tiger, a mountain lion. It can be a hippopotamus. It could be anything, you know, when it's dark. So today, I saw that I was trying to work from the furthest can back to the apartment complexes, and I got the furthest can, and I didn't open it or nothing. I just stood it up on, and I was going, and I noticed it felt kind of funny, so I raised it up, and there was a raccoon in it. And let me tell you something, he did not want to travel. He wanted to stay right where he was at, and I let him stay where he was at. I left that can alone, and I went back and got it last.
They can be mean.
So go ahead, Terry. I'm sorry. It's
not no problem. We just, you know, tonight, you know, we got it set up for if Scotty does lose power, if you're watching and all of a sudden he's not there, or he looks like, you know, one of the statues, you know, like that.
Yeah.
He's having some power outage issues up in his neck of the woods up there in northeastern Tennessee, up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Up in the Smoky Mountains.
Foothills of the Great
The other
Smoky.
day, the name of the part of the Appalachians that we're part of is called the Peripheral or something like that. Appalachians.
I heard that when I was growing up, but I don't.
That's where we're at. Because we're actually 2 counties over in our part of Southeast Tennessee. We're 2 counties over from being Southern Appalachian.
Yeah,
we're peripheral Appalachian. So I was reading an article on that the other day. It was pretty cool.
Is that anything like mid-trib?
Kind of like that. Well, actually, the Appalachians are actually connected. And I read an article the other day about how they are connected in a part of the Highlands of Scotland that runs through England and them. That one time they were all combined, and when you look at it on a topographical map, it's kind of interesting how God made everything work. Like that.
Around here, you can work in a t-shirt one day and you have to have an overcoat on the next day.
Yeah, definitely. It was 74 degrees this time last week.
Yeah.
And it's going to be 30 tonight.
Yeah.
So anyhow, greetings, everyone. Thanks for putting up a little bit of our introduction here. We've didn't have, due to work complications and stuff from last week, we didn't have class last week and stuff. So we've just been kind of catching up here, just yakking with one another. It's one of the things that's cool. Like, if you ever want to come into the Zoom room, I think Scotty gets it open about 7:30, and sometimes we just sit around and just chat and talk. If you ever want to come to some of what we call the before glory of the show, just sitting and catching up with one another, you're welcome anytime. And again, the links are in, like Scotty said, in a simple walk. And I believe Scotty posts them also on Ronald's group, Australia, Northsides, Australia, New Zealand. And so there's links there as well. So if you're on that part of the world, you can click the link there and join us at any time. And thank you again for joining us. I'm going to miss the radio group tonight. He's got them on a different cycle tonight because, again, the power outages, if he was to, he can't give me host controls on that aspect. So if he has power outages, we'd lose them altogether. So since the radio group has not been able to be a part of us tonight, and you're watching the rerun, however you want to put it, of this too, we just thank you for picking up and watching it and keeping up with us. And tonight we're going to continue in our journey in Genesis. Like I said, this is going to be a slow trip. And last week we covered the first word, Bereshit. And tonight we're going to cover and God created. We're going to look at the Hebrew words of that and see where it takes us on that. There's part of it kind of gets a little ahead of itself for my taste, but we may get into that tonight. I'd rather not. We'll wait and see what kind of time we've got when we get there. And Scotty, if we've got anything from last week, if anybody from the radio group or anybody on YouTube emailed us, got any questions on anything we've talked about the last couple of weeks on beginning this journey in Genesis, so we can talk about that a little bit before we get started if we needed to.
Well,
are you about ready for your Tzedakah time?
I am, but I was going to say that we really don't have any questions per se at this time. We got a couple of discussions, and I want to get those formalized. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, we'll back up and do some discussions on some conversations that's going on, and that way we can kindly,
okay.
Because I know you're going to be covering within the next 2 classes anyway.
Yeah,
you're going to be covering some things.
Yes, some of what in my studies and reading bleeds over a little bit part that's actually brought up in chapter 2. But I know why it's brought up in this section here, and I may bring up a little bit of that, but I'll wait and see where we get to on that. And so sometimes it's hard because when you're studying like this, things bleeds over into other areas that you may not get to just yet, but there's reasons why it's mentioned where it's at.
Yeah.
To kind of give you a, better understanding of what's being said. All right. Scotty.
All right. I'll get going on our Tzedakah time. We appreciate everybody that has sent us names and discussed with us about Tzedakah and what it means. And we've had some pretty good discussions on that over the course of the past few months. And So we're just going to get right into it tonight. And as always, we give tzedakah for Terry and I's main teacher, Pesach and Shira Sherbo. They live there in Sfat, Israel. And then also Christina Hall. We still got her on our tzedakah list tonight. And Pamela Steffi is still on our tzedakah list. Now, Veronica, you said you're going to be seeing her in the next couple of weeks. Did I hear you right?
Yes, it'll be probably after the 21st. But yeah, I'll be going out there.
Okay, good deal, good deal. We've got her on our tzedakah list tonight. Also, Jessica Brandon. Did I say that? Did I get that right? Did I say that right? Jessica Brandon?
Janice.
Janice. I don't know why I said the reason I said Jessica is I had hooked on phonics. So it's Jessica. Thank you, Ronald. And so we're giving tzedakah for her tonight. Also, Jeremy Kibbe. Now, did I see that picture right? Is Jeremy?
Looks like he might be in if it's
in a relationship.
A relationship.
So we're giving tzedakah for Jeremy.
A big old pat on the back.
Yeah. So also we're giving tzedakah tonight for Wendell and Mary Parsons. We haven't talked to them in the last little while, but we're giving tzedakah for them tonight. And also Nadine Akins. Nadine Akins, we're giving tzedakah for her tonight. And also for Harleen Hool. Harleen Hool, we're giving tzedakah for Harleen tonight. And William and Tina Lyons. We're giving tzedakah for them tonight. And Ronald Dickman and his sister. I'm going to have him give his sister's name. But Ronald, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Had a call from my sister the other day. She's had some updated scans done, and apart from the major back issue, there was a spot on her lung, and the spot has enlarged and changed colour and texture, so she's got more tests coming to see what's going on with the lung.
And give us your sister's name as I give the tzedakah for her.
Diane Bankier.
Okay, thank you, Ronald. Thank you, Ronald. Also, Warwick Marshall. We're giving tzedakah for Warwick Marshall tonight. And also Chrissy Seaton. How's Chrissy doing, Ronald? You got to talk to her lately?
Yeah. I spoke to her the other day. We had a good chat for about an hour. Yeah, she's doing quite well. So yeah, right. She's quite cheerful and getting back into life in a full extent.
Great. Also, somebody always sends in $1 with Amuela Asher's name on it. So Amuela was here before we started tonight, and she had to leave. So we're giving tzedakah for Amuela. They also send in $1 for Veronica Port, and that's your dollar going into the tzedakah. And then also Thomas Schaus. They send in one for you, Thomas. And then on our blessed memory tzedakah tonight, we have Jolene. Well, I'll get it. Combs. Jolene Combs is on our blessed memory tzedakah list tonight. Would you take a minute and just help us pray tonight? Hear our voice, Adonai, our God, Father of mercy. Have compassion on us and accept our prayers with compassion and favor. For we know that you are a God who hears prayers and supplications. You are our King. Do not send us away empty-handed. Favor us and answer us and listen to our prayers. Amen. All right, Terry, I am going to step back here just a minute and let you take over the class. Now, I'm not for sure, Terry, if I put you on speaker view, how that's going to work. You have to do the speaker view. If you want to do the speaker view, Terry, that's going to be all up to you.
You know what? I've never controlled it, so
it's up in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see a little box, a little piece that says view. You see view up there in the upper right-hand corner?
Oh, Yeah, I see it.
Click
Okay.
click that and to say speaker view.
We may or may not. Doesn't matter. To me.
Okay.
It never makes any difference to me. Depends on what y'all want to look at my face up closer,
Okay.
Anyhow, Scotty, I know you almost said Wendell Walk. Have you heard from Wendell and them? How are they doing?
I haven't heard from them in a little bit. So I'm going to attempt to reach out to him this weekend and see how everything's going.
Didn't he have some back issues or something?
Yes, and I think they changed his job situation around.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So we're going to reach out to them this weekend and see what we can find out.
Okay. That sounds good. Now, I just know a while ago you said Wendell, and that reminded me of Wendell. And it's been a while since I get to hear you pick on him and Mary.
Yeah.
So, all righty. Tonight we're going to continue our journey into Genesis. Like I said last week, or not last week, but the last time we came together, we were discussing Bereshit, the first word of the Torah in the beginning. Tonight we're going to look into the next two words where God created is how it's translated in English, but the first word is actually created is bara, and we're going to look into that, and then we're going to get into a little bit into God's name that's mentioned there, and there's some things we'll learn. Some things I may cover, or I may wait till we get to Genesis chapter 2, where it's the first time what it brings up is the first time a specific thing is mentioned, which is very important. What we're going through is some very important things that a lot of us in the nations that's grown up with Western Bibles, English translations, things that we weren't told or taught because, well, one, our teachers didn't know them, or if they did, they didn't share it. And main reason is they didn't have working knowledge of the original Hebrew language. And that's one of the reasons why we're going into Genesis. We're looking into the Hebrew language as it was given to Moses from God, and what they read, studied, meditated, prayed for 3,400 years now. And there's just quite a bit of things off and on that is news to us that we didn't know because of translation. And so tonight we're going to be looking at the word created. We're going to look in the beginning, God created. We're going to look at the word, the third in the beginning, the second word, bara, Bereshit bara. The second word is the word bara, which is a verb. And it can be translated created or creating, depends on the English and how it's translated. Again, I will be using our two primary sources, the Art Scroll Tanakh series Bereshit or Genesis, and the Hirsch Hamash, the Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch Hamash on Genesis. And that's our two primary sources that we are drawing from and learning about these words here in Genesis. And so, again, the word created is bara. It is Beit Resh Aleph is the Hebrew letters, and it's pronounced bara. It says the verb which is used, now this is from the Art Scroll, the verb which is used in the scriptures exclusively referring to divine activity is explained by the sages as referring to producing something out of nothing. There is no expression in Hebrew for producing something from nothing other than the word bara, or created. Anytime that word is used in the Hebrew, it is exclusively used in the reference that something came from nothing. There are other words that is used when he was making, man, he formed man. After the Creator created everything that we have from nothing, and we're going to look at that here a little bit more when we get over into the Hirsch, and Art Scroll kind of quotes Hirsch a little bit here the bara is when God created all the ingredients. That's kind of like the way I like to look at it. He created all the ingredients that he would be using to make everything else, the all life, planets, the universe, everything that comes into what we call the physical and the spiritual, planes. He takes and he creates the ingredients. And then from that point, the word bara is not used anymore. It's other words that's used because now he's taking the ingredients he's made and he's forming. He's taking, he's kind of like making some biscuits. You get your flour, get your milk, get your butter. He's just getting all this together, and then he's rolling it out and he's forming it. But before, as we discussed in Bereshit, that there was absolutely nothing before. It was just the Creator himself. That's all that there was and is. But he took time, and when he took, in the beginning, he made the ingredients that he would make everything in creation with. And from that point on, it's not bara. It's like Yetzer formed. When he formed man from the dust. He brought the earth brought forth the animals and the plants from the planet, and the waters brought forth the fish and the birds and things like that. All of that came from the ingredients that he made at the beginning, when it says in the beginning bara, God made the ingredients. From that point on, he uses the ingredients and manipulates them, however you want to put it in the human terms, to make the earth, to make the spirit realm, and everything that becomes into existence. The Vilna Gaon explains that the word bara, created, specifically designates the origination of the substance, the creative process which is beyond the human power, such as inorganic, organic, metallic. Hirsch explains that bara means bringing something into reality, which Hitro had existed inwardly in the mind. And I'm going to get into this more when I get over into Hirsch. It is used only for creation by God because the verb implies creating something purely out of the mind and the will without utilizing anything else. Before creation, the world existed to express in human terms only in the thought and the mind of God. Thus, creation is nothing but a materialized thought of God by which he imparted to this thought an external concrete existence. I'm going to go over to Hirsch and read a little bit more on that from his. That's just a quote from him from the Art Scroll on bara. And Scotty, if I need to go back and go over anything, just let me know, because I've been reading and looking at this stuff for a while, and I have a tendency to go too fast. Rabbi Hirsch says the bara is related to 5 other Hebrew words, which denotes an aspiration to emergence from potentiality into actuality, or release. And I thought this was interesting, or release from bondage. Accordingly, bara denotes bringing to light, actualizing, and bringing something out into external reality. In Aramaic, bara also means outside. That is the sister language to Hebrew, Aramaic. That which is outside. Bara then means to carry out and actualize a thought which is hidden in the inner recesses of the mind. Let me go back over that again. In Aramaic, the word bara means, it has a meaning of being outside. That which is outside, then it means to carry out an actualized thought, which is hidden in the inner recesses of the mind. It's taking the thought that's in here and making it actualized. Thus, bara denotes creation preceded only by thought and will. This is precisely the concept of the creation. It is applied only to God's creation. This word only applies to God's creating. Man cannot bara. We don't have the power to bring something from nothing. We only can form from the ingredients that God made, that we have access to. Before the world existed, this creation had existed. This creation, the universe and its millions of galaxies and planets, this planet with all of its vegetation and animals and humans, everything that's on this planet had only existed as a thought in the mind of the Creator. The act of creation actualized this thought and brought it into reality. Just like what it says in Aramaic, it's meaning outside. God brought to the outside that which was inside his own thought, his own mind, giving it an external concrete existence. When God brought, he created, he gave his thoughts a concrete existence. The entire world as a whole in all of its parts is nothing but, and I just take some time to think about this. The entire world, the entire universe, everything that is in our reality is nothing but a materialized thought of God. A materialized thought of God. You got anything on that, Scotty?
It takes me a little while longer to get over there. So no, not yet, but keep going.
Well, that's what I have on. Let me see here. Yeah, because we're going to get to Elohim next. But
Okay.
this is just, I know it seems a little bit, sometimes a little elementary, but the way Rabbi Hirsch wrote this, in essence, he brings it all down, that the word bara, this is Bereshit bara, in the beginning, and it's actually the word created, is the materialized thought of God. I didn't even highlight that when I circled the words on that one, because it just like, it popped. When you just sit and you think about, just think about, if you're yourself, stand and look in the mirror and know that you are a materialized thought of the Creator's mind. Every human, every plant, every animal that we see, that we wonder at, the beautiful majesty of the mountains of Switzerland, the Smokies here, the gorgeous valleys that lays out, it's the green, the oceans, the beautiful rivers and waterfalls. And even this last week I watched, last week I watched a program on some of the mysterious things of the earth. And there was a discovery here about a decade ago. These guys, I don't remember where it was at. They went into this cave and there was these crystals that were the size of buildings. It was amazing. Just something that we didn't even know existed. It looks like something you see on Star Wars, Star Trek, or another planet. That's what it looked like. It looked extraterrestrial, in my words. But yet, every aspect of our planet, of our existence, is a materialized thought that came forth from God's mind. We've talked about one of the serious issues, the reason why murder is so bad is, even the Creator says, when we will get to it in Genesis 9, that the reason why murder is so bad because man is created in the image of God. So when we think about how we treat humans, how we treat the planet, every bit of this is a materialized thought out of God's own mind. And it just, I don't know, just that to me just is something to meditate on. To think about, when we talk about treating someone, if we treat someone bad, understand that person is a part of the thought of God that materialized. Every human being that's born has come from the thought from God's mind into creation. Every soul, every tree, every animal is a materialized thought of God. It's just, to me, that just understanding what this word bara means and the in-depthness of what we learn from this one little bitty 3-letter word is so deep.
How is that spelt, Terry? Veronica's asked how that's spelled.
It is Beit Resh Aleph, or bara. Let me look over here at the vowel points real quick. Let me look at it in the sentence. Bara. It is kind of a B-A-A. It'd be bara. Really, it's bara. It's not actually ra. Ra would be a different vowel point. So bara. But it's Beit Resh, or you can kind of put it like this, B-R kind of A, but it's pronounced, with the syllables the way it's pronounced in the Hebrew is bara. There's like an accent point there. But just that, to look at it in English, God created. Okay. We think, God made something. And he did make something. But everything that God made was first in in human terms, in his mind. And then he materialized. He had the power. And we're going to see that in the next word. He had the power to take that which was inside of his thoughts, as we would put it in human terms, in his mind, and he would bring it forth from nothing into something, and bring it into existence, to bring it to life. Anything else before we go on? Did Scotty disappear? Oh, his power must have went off. Scotty did disappear. Okay. I looked up. I thought something was different there. Yeah, for those joining us in, Scotty's been up where he's at, been having real bad high winds. They've been up, I think he said anywhere, was it 70, 80 mile an hour winds in some places up there. And as we say here in his neck of the woods, I think we had some 50, 60 mile winds down here. Okay, the next word, we have Bereshit, bara, and the next word, which is translated as God, is Elohim. And the sages explain that Elohim denotes God in his attribute of justice, as ruler, director, lawgiver, and judge of the world. Now, the next part I'll come back to here a little bit later if we have enough time. If not, we'll be getting into this when we get to chapter 2. But understand the word Elohim denotes his attribute of justice, ruler, director, judge of the world, lawgiver, Now, a lot of folks that are untrained in the Hebrew language sees that, well, that's a plural word, means gods. It's not plural in this statement. There is no idea of plurality in this word. It is not inferred at any point. There is no evidence of the fact that it is a plural word, because the way the Hebrew linguistic language works, the verb, there's Scotty, the verb bara is singular. It's in front of the word Elohim in the Hebrew. Therefore, it denotes the word after a singular word is singular. It's not plural. As one of the rabbi explained to me one time, there are several words in the Hebrew language that appears to be plural, but they're not. Just like the word for water. Water is the Hebrew word mayim. You can have a drop of water that would fit on the tip of a needle. You can have a raindrop. You can have a stream, you have a river, you can have a sea, you can have an ocean. And each one of those, it's mayim. It's not waters, it's water. An ocean is mayim. A single raindrop is mayim. But in the linguistic sense, with the verb created is singular in its tense. Therefore, the next word after it is also singular. And so those that are untrained in Hebrew, oh, it ends with I am. And then they go, believe me, I was raised around that myself until I was taught how to read the Hebrew language, the biblical Hebrew, from a 70-year-old rabbi, because it's his natural language. And so I'm not going to get into all of that much right here, because it's going to appear a few more times as we get into Genesis. But it is not a plural word. It doesn't mean there's a Godhead. That doesn't mean there's persons, because all that comes from the pagans. It comes from the Greeks and the Romans and the pagans and even the Celts and all their plurality of gods that tries to explain the nature of how things work. But in the Hebrew, it is the single one power, one source, the creator. Matter of fact, the very first word el, it's pronounced el, the Aleph Lamed, is means strength, means power, means source. And it's a singular. There's a list of also explanations of the word Elohim here from the different sages of Israel. Rashi says here, a name which throughout Scripture signifies authority. Elohim signifies authority because he's the ruler, he's the judge, he's the lawgiver. The Rambam denotes that God is the chief. He's the leader. He's the chief. He's the captain. He's the master of the universe. Kazari says it is the term signifying the property. It's hard to speak sometimes with a partial. The proprietary or governor of the world in broad terms or in narrow terms to a human judge, because even human judges are called in Hebrew Elohim. Whether it's one judge or a court of judges, it's Elohim. One judge can be called Elohim. 4 judges can be called Elohim. It's singular in nature in these terms. Serfano denotes that God as the eternal and everlasting human judge, referred to Elohim because they judge in the image of God. And that's another thing in the Hebrew tradition, judges are to judge as in the image of God. because they're Elohim, they're judges. The Orach Chaim says it describes God as the mighty one who wields authority over beings above and below. In the Shulchan Aruch, one of the sacred writings of Israel, describes God as the omnipotent, the all-powerful. Malbim says in the plural form it signifies, because it has a plural form to it, but it's singular in the use in Genesis chapter 1. It signifies many forces, many attributes, which spread throughout the creation, and all of these forces emanate from the one God. And in him are found the sources, and all sources are completely in him. And we'll look at that when we get to the attributes of God. We may look at that tonight, may or may not look at that tonight. We will when we get to Genesis chapter 2. It indicates the sum and the total of his attributes and powers that are all in him. Hirsch comments that the sages note that it does not say God created in the beginning, but it says in the beginning God created, which explains in reference to God is derived Elohei, the demonstrative. What it says, the demonstrative plural of these, which views the plurality of these things as the world is being joined together to form in unity. Accordingly, he is called Elohim, and only after the creation of the world, as the name refers to his relationship to the world. Therefore, Elohim follows Bereshis bara, because this shows us the relationship God has in the world. Bereshis bara, in the beginning created. And then Elohim, it's God in the way it falls in the context of the sentence, telling us it is God who did the creating. Nothing else. No one else. He's singular. He was singular. Again, the verb created is singular, denoting that the single one God did the creating in the beginning. I know this is a mouthful. You start looking to just, so what are we looking at? 1, 2, 3, 3 words. 3 words in the beginning of the Torah. Defines so much to us that we learned just in a couple of weeks the depthness of these 3 words. In sequence of these words, the Midrash, which is one of the holy writings of Israel, perceives the evidence of God's modesty, for only after creating the requirements of the universe did he deign to record his own name. First words of the Torah was, in the beginning, God created, or in the beginning created. In the beginning created was the first words. The Creator showed modesty in the fact that he didn't start the Torah with his name. His name was the third word into the Torah, designating he's the one who does the creating, but also showing us modesty where God doesn't tell us in the Torah, I created. Pointing, yes, we do. He has all right to point to himself. But as the sages says, this is a point of modesty where God tells Moses to write this down. In the beginning created. And then it says Elohim, which points to the single one God, his attribute of justice. When God deals with the creation, he is Elohim. And we're going to get into, in Genesis chapter 2, the part of his name that means mercy. I was going to get into a little bit tonight, but I'm not going to do that because there's too much there. I really want to save that to later because it'll flow a whole lot more when we get into this aspect of God's name. But for all intents and purposes, the first 3 words, in the beginning created, then God denotes he's the only God, the only creator, the only source that can even activate the force of creating. Nothing else can. Only from him can creation come. That's why his name, the attribute of justice, ruler, judge, lawgiver, because he created all the laws that makes the creation work. He had said all those, we know that when a planet spins, there's gravity, and how fast it spins depends on how much gravity it is. We know the Earth spins so fast, and I think we've got 14 pounds per square inch of force that's on the human body on Earth. And he designed all of that so we're not crushed or we don't fly away. There's this balance that these laws that he created is in balance, so everything operates the way he wanted to. And so that is one of the beautiful aspects of knowing that Elohim means judge and lawgiver. But it comes after the word created, which means he's singular. He's one. There's a oneness. He's only one God. But then there's also modesty, that God just didn't start out telling Moses, putting his name first. When he placed his name where he did in the Torah for the first time, this attribute of justice, there's a purpose for that. Because we're going to learn that as when he gets to man, and when he deals with man, the way he shares about himself and who he is in the written Hebrew that he gave Moses is amazing. Something that we're going to learn that we didn't learn growing up in many of the places that we all grew up. Rabbi Hirsch says that in Elohim we have the word Elohe, which denotes a unique being whose power and will unites all of his powers into one singularity. It is through him and the relationship to him that all the elements of the universe becomes one single unit. And that seems, it's one of those things that's hard for us to understand. But when he says in Isaiah chapter 45, when he says, Ani Hashem v'ain od, I am God and there is no other. It goes beyond the meaning there is no other God but him. That's this base meaning. But when we look at this, where it says that through him and their relationship, talking about all the elements of the creation, relation to him, that all elements in the universe becomes one singular entity. If the universe, if the earth, if everything is a materialized aspect of a materialized thought. If everything is a materialized thought, then we are not separated from him. Universe, if the earth, if everything is a... Looks like Scotty's lost power for a while, doesn't it, Ronald?
He texted me, he said they've lost power, and then Thomas dropped out again straight afterwards. So we're waiting to see if he gets back.
Yeah, because he doesn't live far from Scotty.
Yeah.
So, but anyhow, so when we think about this, I want to leave this with you. This is kind of can be a difficult concept to think about when Rabbi Hirsch says here, through him and their relationship to him, that all the elements in the universe becomes one single entity. Therefore, Elohim means master of the universe, introduces order into the prescribed law, enforces justice, that he becomes one. He becomes one. All the elements of the universe becomes one single entity. And so when we look at where he says, I am God and there is no other, meaning there's no other gods, but he's also telling us there's nothing else but him. All we are materialized thoughts were materialized thoughts that came from the mind of God. Just let that sink in. Think about that. If you got some questions and discussions on that, you email Scotty at outreachnoah@gmail.com. Thank you for having to mention that at the beginning. We kind of lost our flow when we didn't have the radio, Ronald, because Scotty kind of had a flow there, making his announcements coming in. Any thoughts, Ronald, on this aspect of all this being unified in God in one singular entity? His thoughts, the materialized aspect of his thoughts, all part of the one entity?
I think it's good because there's a lot of confusion I've seen over time with how many were involved in the creation and having it interpreted how it should be. It puts a dead stop to that and says there's only one, that everything relies on Hashem himself. So,
like I was sharing a while ago about the water, when the rabbi was telling me about the mayim, whether it's a single raindrop or if it's an ocean, it's mayim. He also explained that one of the side deeper aspects that we can trail into when we look at mayim and we look at Elohim is that water can be very expansive. I mean, it can be, it's kind of a word I'm kind of trying to think what was the word that he used. It's vast. Water can be vast. An ocean, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, we've got humongous submarines and boats out there on water, and they look like ants if you was up in the air. And how vast water is. And through that, the rabbi says we can gain an insight of the vastness of Elohim, the creator, that he's vast beyond our comprehension. Because even though as vast as water is on our planet, it's only a materialized thought. So can you imagine what the unmaterialized thought in God's mind was before there was creation? Before it became materialized? We can't even comprehend that. That'd be like me trying to comprehend living in the 1950s. I wasn't born yet. I didn't exist. I can look at things and think, oh, it's cool. Drive 57 Chevys and, bellhops down at the A&W, things like that. But I didn't get to experience any of that. It was before me. So in humanity, before God's thought became materialized, we can't comprehend that because it was before our existence. But when I read Rabbi Hirsch's words on that, the word bara represents the materialized thought of God. That got me, it gets me to thinking that, like I said, stop, look in the mirror, close everything out, look in the mirror, talk to God, and know that you are a single materialized thought that he had. That's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, each and every one of us.
So how special is every single human being, whether they know God or not? They could be, some of these people out here in the Amazon or up here in, the tundra regions of Canada and Alaska and places like that where there's hardly anybody there. And they may not even know of the God of Israel, but yet that doesn't stop them from being a materialized thought that came from him. So how important is all humanity? Look like Nancy's got her hand raised. Go ahead.
Terry. Hi, Terry.
Oh, hold on. Nancy's going to talk.
Sorry.
Okay, so Terry, I just looked that up, bara, and it's spelled B-A-R-A.
Mm-hmm.
And Bara is the transliteration of a Hebrew word that happens to be the second word in the first lines of the Bible. The word literally means to create.
Something from nothing.
Right. But it is special in that the verb is only used when discussing the actions of God. Only God can bara.
Yeah.
Which gives the word a greater, more nuanced meaning. I just wanted to put that up.
Yeah, that's cool. Because when we get to the other words, like the Hebrew words we're going to look at when he forms man, we can actually do those words. I think it's Yetz or Yates or something like that, which means formed. We can form because we're created in his image, because he's taking the ingredients that only he could make, and then he's forming them into something, whether it be an oak tree or a human being. But we can do the same thing. Look, we've taken and we've built houses, we've built roads, we've built airplanes, we have formed like God.
Right.
But we cannot bara. That's only him.
Only him.
Good point.
I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, good point. All right, Ward.
Again.
I've been studying life beyond our solar system, and life on Earth. Do you think we got life outside of our Earth?
Well, it's interesting that you ask, because I'm a sci-fi nut, or nerd, however you want to put it. There was a rabbi, a great rabbi. I don't remember which one, what his name was, but there's this great rabbi, and I was reading some works from him, and he was asked. He was one of the great modern rabbis. I think he's passed away now, but he was asked, "Do you believe that there is life on other planets?" You know what he said? He said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, why do you believe that there's?" Because if I said no, that would limit what my God can do. And what he does with that, I don't know he's doing, doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
So another question is, then they'd have their own set of laws, like Torah or some other way that Father's spoken to them, or
we don't know.
That's beyond our imagination.
No, hey, us sci-fi folks that like sci-fi, we have those questions. I have those questions.
Yeah.
If I could ever be on an Enterprise and hit warp 9 and go out there and see what's out there, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I love the rabbi's answer. He says to say no, there is no life would be to limit the creator.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And so even though we may never know, and it's sometime I think we will know if there was or if there isn't, how he dealt with them. I've had my own thoughts, does God have another set of creation somewhere operating on the same level or a different level? We'll find out. That's one of those things. He doesn't tell us everything. Yeah. That's the thing about Genesis is, especially the creation week, the rabbis tell us it's not chronological. It is not a chronological reading. God doesn't give us all of the information. He only gives us the information that is meant for our existence on this earth. That's all there is.
And Jerry, another question quickly is our creation. It must take time, though, like to evolve. Father's built the earth, but it must have taken time. Time is nothing to him. Time's to us.
No, I'm one of those that
to do this, not just once in a bonk,
No, I'm one of those that believes that the earth itself could be millions of years old, but humanity on earth is only 6,000.
Yeah.
Or right at 6,000, 5,000 plus.
Yeah.
And because we know, and then the rabbis tell us the reason why we know it's not chronological is because when we get on down in the Hebrew, in Genesis here in the next verse or so, that the earth was without form and void, and his spirit hovered above the waters. We're going to get into that.
Can I check something? I saw something the other day. It was a picture, it was a multiple pictures of people's eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes, green eyes, hazel, all different eyes and eye colors. And it was an up close shot. And it was like it was some kind of a meme. It said something like each eye created by God is a vision of the world. If you ever look at your eye in a mirror and all, and look at it really, really close, it looks like some kind of a outer space vision,
Right.
within your eye. And that kind of hit me when I saw that. It was like it's kind of proof like we're all part of this thing
Being.
that God created. This
Mhm.
we're all combined, we're all together, it just kind of hit me in a
Right. It's the
different
creation
way.
that God done is beyond even comprehension. And one of his mystical names that the great sages called the Creator was Ein Sof, the uncomprehendable God. And so that's he gives us a glimpse, and if even it may not even be considered a glimpse when you look at the full reality, but he gave to Moses what we needed to know to live on this earth, to live with him and to live with one another, and how to take care of the creation. Those three things is the basis of Torah. How to walk with God, how to walk with man, and how to take care of what he made. And that's what the 7 laws of Noah, that is the underlying factors of the 7 laws of Noah. That's the underlying factors of everything that he gave Israel. The 613 is very deep with the nation of Israel, because their lives go deeper in with God as his priest, where we don't go, which is okay, because we've got so much to learn and to do in what he made us. We don't even need to spend time trying to figure them out. We haven't got ourselves figured out yet. And so, but anyhow, that kind of really concludes what I had covered tonight. Of course, we didn't know he was going to have all the power outages and the power and the problems we were having. When even Scotty messaged me today, he was hoping we'd be able to even get on and turn the YouTube on and everything, because he kind of runs everything from his station up there in Townsend, and I just kind of join in with him and help him out. But so we've covered Bereshit, Bara, Elohim. There's more to Elohim that's going to be brought out in like I said, when we get into chapter 2, that I want to spend some time on, because it's to be honest with you, it's going to rock some people's worlds, and it's going to be some stuff they've not heard. And I'd like to spend some time on that, and especially that people send in, have the opportunity to send in questions and things like that to learn, because it's what we're going to get into is very, very important in knowing the nature, the attributes of God in justice and mercy. And it's what we're going to be learning in that particular passage when we get to it. But like I said, if you want to, if you have any messages, if you have any questions, please send them to Scotty at outreachnoah@gmail.com, or you can reach him or I on Facebook. Our Facebooks are open, or you can reach us on Simple Walk Facebook page. Come and join the Simple Walk. That way you can also get the notifications when we're going to, our classes and our links, and trying to get it going where it's a little bit more than just posting the links for our study. But Scotty has really, really been busy with his job. This has been the time of year where he's got these things that he has to do like once a year. And sometimes he has to work through the night, or almost quite a ways through the night. Like what last week, he's got this one particular job that he has to do once a year, and it requires him to kind of work to 10, 11 o'clock at night. And so we always, about this time of year, have to, take a few extra breaks and things. And so we appreciate everybody hanging in with us as we, go through these things with snow days and storms. And looks like Ronald's got his finger up. Ronald, there's a hand you can put up. I can see a little bit better than a finger. Go ahead, Scott. Go ahead, Ronald.
Yeah, on YouTube, Sharon Lee asks, so God is the universe. It's actually bigger than that.
Well, I'm going to put it the way the Hasidim that I know, the way I've been taught from some Hasidic rabbis and some Hasidic Jewish friends, because they are kind of more into the, they do explain a few things a little deeper. The way they explain it in human terms, and this by far is not even the best explanation, but it helps our finite mind. That remember in Bereshit, when there was only God, and everything that we have, the Torah was the blueprint in his mind. Creation was within the blueprint of his mind. It hadn't even been materialized yet, so it's only him. And so when we have a tendency to think, well, God created, and so we have God here, and then creation's appearing over here. And he's like us, we're over here manipulating things. Well, when we understand what I mentioned a while ago, Isaiah 45, Ani Hashem ba'enod, I am God and there's no other. Again, the simple plain meaning of the text, there is no other gods. That's what he's talking about. But in the deeper sense, there is nothing but him. And so the Hasidic sages has explained it like this. And again, this is a human explanation. That you have nothing but God. He had to hollow a spot out in him for the creation to be. And so it's like you have God, and let's say you have the universe with all of its millions of galaxies and planets represented by this eraser is inside of him. That's the way I had a Hasidic rabbi explain that to me. He says it's the only way we can kind of put a human mind to understanding that God is not separate and the creation is not separate. That's when it says, like when Rabbi Hirsch says it right here. Where I was at, if I didn't lose my spot right here.
Huey follows it up with a womb.
A womb. Well, let's see. That's like a womb inside of a woman. You see, that's another example that the rabbis use. Hold on here. Oh, I laid my bookmarker over here and I lost my spot. Okay, let me come back over here. Oh, right here, where Rabbi Hirsch says right here in the word Elohim says, it is through him, the creator, in the relationship with him, that all the elements of the universe become one single entity, meaning him and his creation is one single unity. And so, but that's a deep concept to try, and it's hard to wrap your mind around it. But I like, the word womb is another word that the rabbi uses in certain areas to help us kind of understand God and the creation. Again, all human terminology, because the only thing we can do is explain from our earthly experience, which is
because the womb, it's formless and void until that baby is formed inside and becomes human and starts to, take on everything. I had someone use that as a metaphor one time, and I just found it so fascinating. I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
That when Hashem says that, the everything there was nothing.
Right.
Void. It was dark. It was nothing. And then, so using the word,
it wasn't even dark. Darkness was a part of his creation.
Right.
Because we can't comprehend that. We think the absence of light is darkness, but yet darkness didn't exist either.
Okay.
Darkness didn't exist either. Darkness is actually part of the physical creation.
Right.
And that's another aspect. Like I said, it's these first three words are so deep in their looking at the different aspects. It's one of the things I love. Like one of the the sages teach us, and I think even Rabbi Hirsch even uses these words in some of his commentaries, that God told Adam to look into the creation and know Him. Think about that.
Right.
Again, this kind of gets fairly deep. We can talk all night about it. I know Bob would love to. But next, I haven't really got any further just yet with everything going on. Next week, it's may wait and see what how many emails Scotty gets. We may do some time for some discussion. If we do, that's fine. But the next, hold on, let me drop back over here to where I had my marker at.
Hey, Bob,
So we've
can I
looked,
quickly ask you?
hold on, we've looked at, in the beginning God created. So the next time, what I want to look at, God willing, is the heavens and the earth. We'll go through those words and try to, either the next time or into the next one, we can complete the first sentence. Now, we're not going to go through every sentence word by word, but some of these here in the creation week, there's going to be aspects. There are going to be some passages here early on in Genesis that we're going to look at every word of certain passages because of what is being said. But go ahead, Warwick.
Hey, Bob, you changed your time for your group. What's that?
Yeah, we are changing this next week. I got to get with Scotty and Ronald, and they'll help me with the times I need to post.
Bob's group's changed his time. Is it today?
I'll talk to you about it later. Yeah. We changed that, but that's a different group. Yeah. We'll talk about it after the class.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'm still recording. Yeah. Okay.
All righty. Well, it's about almost 15 after 9. We can call this to a close. Of course, Scotty left me on this. I got to figure out how to close. Ronald, you know how to close the class? Because I've never closed it.
Well, you just have to, where yours will say end meeting, you just go down there like you were leaving, but you'll say end, and then it'll say end meeting for all. Oh.
I just want to shut down the YouTube.
Or just shut down the YouTube for right now.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Okay. All right, yeah, I see it, Hal. Sorry, guys. Scotty's, out of power and all that, and he left me as host. I'm normally not host, and I've never opened up the classes. So bear with us as we struggle trying to keep this Model T running. We got to crank that engine. Now we have to uncrank it and get it stopped anyhow.
Yeah, Warwick, we had to change.
Hold on a second. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. Sorry, we had a little bit of a different class tonight, and it's on the YouTube channel. I know that Scotty's going to let everybody know on the radio because we didn't broadcast live on the radio tonight because of the power outages that were going on in his area. So God willing, we'll see y'all again next week. And I hope y'all have a good weekend that's coming up. Looks like we're going to have some pretty weather here eventually and start going up into the 70s next week. And of course, Ronald, in your area, you're starting to get colder.
Oh, yeah, it's getting a bit that way. Bit up and down at the moment still, but it's heading down. It's getting dark early and dark late in the morning.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no.
Good night, everyone, or good day wherever you're at in the world. I keep forgetting I'm in Southeast Tennessee, so it's good night. So where Ronald's at, it's good day. Good day, mate. Anyhow, we'll see y'all next week, God willing. Thank you for watching our video, being a part of it. Please share it and like it if you enjoy it. Send us questions at outreachnoah@gmail.com. Any suggestions that you might have, maybe from future studies you might be interested in that you would like to see us cover. We're open for anything. Just give us a holler. See y'all later.